Hello everyone, Ms. Turnbull here. I'm here with a video on academic essay writing. We're going to use this for English 30-1, but please note that this video still covers the same types of writing expected out of English 10-1 and 20-1. So you can use this for those courses as well. So first, we're going to talk about three basic essay types for academic English in Alberta. The first one is a critical analysis essay. The second one is a personal response essay. And the last one is a research essay. So a critical analysis essay is an extended response that focuses on responding to texts through a critical lens. It analyzes the literature in question without personal commentary. It evaluates the literature's connection to a given theme or topic, and you must use a text from class in your response for these essays. The personal response essay is an extended response, once again, that analyzes the literature through an analytical and/or personal lens. So it allows you to also talk about your own thoughts in this essay. So it analyzes the literature in question with optional personal commentary. It evaluates a piece of literature's connection to a given theme or topic and can explore the author's relation to that same combination of the text and the topic. The last one here is a research essay, and if you're going on to post-secondary schooling, university, college, anything like that, this is the kind of essay that you will be writing most often. In university especially. It is an extended response that analyzes literature while utilizing existing research about that literature. And this is for English specifically, but the basic skills that you will learn for research essays help you understand how to write a research essay for other disciplines as well. So the basics are the same, just in English we also talk about the literature, whereas in, science, for example, you might be dealing with something a little bit different. So it analyzes the literature in question with mandatory research support. It is not optional. It's called a research essay. You have to support your information with research. And it evaluates the literature's connection to a given topic or theme and supports that assertion with that existing research. So general steps for essay writing, with a couple of notes as we go through that relate to the specific kinds of essays here. So first, we're going to decide on a topic. You will usually be given a topic for an assignment, but that topic is generally going to be something pretty open-ended, something very broad. So you will have to narrow it down to something more specific so that you can accomplish it in a single essay. It's important to ensure that your essay fits within the assignment's bounds while still being specific and having depth. A lot of students struggle with essays in academic writing because they write something that is too general. It does not get into the depths of understanding that is expected out of you in academic English. And part of that is because we choose too broad of a topic. We need to make sure we're choosing something nice and specific. We also may find ourselves changing our topic early in the writing process if we find that we're not comfortable or happy with the ideas or the research available for that topic, or just aren't satisfied with how everything's playing out. We might change that. So we need to make sure that the topic that we choose is both challenging and interesting. That will help us endure the process of writing the entire essay, because we are in it for the long haul, you guys. This is not a quick activity. Please do not leave your essay until the night before it's due. Okay, this should be done over several days at the minimum. And once we have a topic or two that we're considering, we're going to quickly research. That's for a research essay. Or jot down, critical analysis and personal response, our ideas about the topics to make sure that we're happy with what we selected. Okay, this is a quick process for evaluating the topic that we've chosen and making sure that we can say enough about it to write a full essay. So after this, you may choose to consult with your teacher, i.e. me, about that topic. Okay, again, this is optional. You may find it helpful to discuss that topic with me so that I can give you some guidance and help you decide if your topic is specific enough for the assignment that you've been given. For research essays, often your teacher or professor may be able to point you in some directions for your research, give you some ideas of where to look, because sometimes that can be really intimidating at the beginning of writing a research paper of like, well, where do I start? How do I find this research? Who should I start with? After we do that, we're going to gather information. So critical and personal essays, this looks like brainstorming details about the text and how they may be connected to your topic. They are quick notes, and any ideas that you take from other sources should be credited. So make sure you keep track of those sources if you use any. For research essays, we're going to gather information regarding our literature and the research that has been done. This should be comprehensive to prevent having to conduct additional research later, because that sucks. When you've spent hours researching information and then you have to go back and research some more because you didn't do it in the research stage. So make sure you leave no stone unturned, as they say. Okay, you can go back. It just sucks in the middle of writing to have to take a break and go back to researching. We need to make sure that we keep track of where our information comes from. We will need the author's name, the book or the article's name, publishing date, page numbers, and a couple of other pieces of information for your citations. Remember that MLA formatting that we talked about. That cheat sheet is still on the Google Classroom. If you've forgotten about it, there is a number of pieces of information that you need to know about every source you use so that you can cite it properly. Okay, very important. We don't want to be plagiarizing anything. After we've done this process, now we're going to create a working thesis. Now, a lot of people, you hear the word thesis, you hear the word thesis statement, and people lose their minds because all of a sudden it's like they forget what a thesis is. Or they keep convincing themselves, I don't know how to write a thesis. I don't know how to write a thesis. It's got a fancy name. I'm so confused. I have no idea what I'm doing. But you do know what you're doing, because a thesis statement is just a statement that underlines your argument. What point are you getting across in your paper? What is the point of your essay? That is your thesis. Okay, usually goes at the end of your introduction paragraph. It just makes sure that your reader is completely aware of what you are arguing and what you're going to prove in the process of your entire essay. This thesis at this stage is a tentative thesis. Okay, you need to be open to changing it as we write. Many students make the mistake of writing their thesis at the start of the essay writing process, and then they do not return to it after they've finished their rough draft. It's incredibly common for the argument or the point of the essay to shift either slightly or significantly throughout the writing process. And if you don't revisit your thesis, you may end up with a thesis statement that does not reflect the essay that you wrote. This is a fundamental flaw and will result in significant losses in your grade. And it's one that's easily fixed. Okay? Just remind yourself, I'm done my rough draft. I need to look at my thesis. Make sure that everything is jiving nicely. Okay. At this stage, do not fuss about the exact wording of our thesis. We just need to get the idea down. We will wordsmith that thesis when we're done writing our first draft. So after we've got our working thesis, now we're going to create a working outline. This is an outline that helps us organize our thoughts before writing our first draft. So it should include our thesis, the ideas that we're trying to get across in each paragraph, our evidence for critical analysis and personal response, and or our research for the research essay, and in which paragraphs we plan to use each piece of evidence or research. Okay? Please note that pieces of evidence will still be used in a research essay. So in a research essay, you've got pieces of evidence and your research. In a critical analysis or a personal response, generally you're just going to have evidence, but you could include some research in there as well. So while we create our outline, we need to consider in what order are my paragraphs going to go? Does this order make sense? How am I going to transition between my paragraphs? How do each of my paragraphs defend or expand upon the idea or the argument asserted in my working thesis? Have I included enough evidence or research? Does all of my evidence and research support the idea or the ideas that it is supposed to? Okay, these are the questions we ask ourselves at the working outline stage. because that means after we've written our working outline, we can easily construct our rough draft. So after we create our working outline, we're going to take a break. This is step 6. I am absolutely serious. Go and spend some time on literally anything else. Let your ideas ruminate on their own for a while. Give your brain a break. It needs it. Okay? Take a couple of hours, do something else. After we're done taking our break, we're going to write our rough draft. Remember that a rough draft is meant to be an initial document for us to rework later. Okay, a lot of students will just sit down in one sitting, write an essay, run their spell checker, and then submit it. And this is a good reason why students struggle to do anything better than a 3 out of 5 on the crafting of your response. Okay, these are things like matters of choice, matters of correctness. All of this has to do with whether you spent the time that you needed to spend on what you wrote. So we should not be worrying at this stage so much about how we write down our ideas, but rather that we write down our ideas. Make sure we get everything down. Don't worry so much about whether we like how we wrote it. At this stage, we need to focus on our order, getting our argument across throughout the essay. And we need to allow ourselves to take risks with our writing. You can always remove it later if you don't like it, but take a chance. See if that metaphor that you think would fit works in this essay. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. The payoff, if it does, is significant, so why not take that chance? After we write our rough draft, we're going to take another break. Yes, again. This break is even more important than the first one. Do not move on to the next step before taking some time for this one. If you have the time, try to take a whole day or more as a break from writing. All right? When we get into the next steps, we need to be able to look at this with fresh eyes. If we go directly into it, we will not have fresh eyes. We will have old and tired eyes. Let's not do that. All right? So after we are finished with step 8, we are going to tear it all down. Okay. Maybe not quite tear it all down. Let's try step 9 again. Step 9 is actually we're going to revise our rough draft. So at this stage, we're going to take a fresh look at our rough draft. Remember, fresh eyes, not tired eyes. Critically, consider the following choices that you've made for your arguments. Are they clear? Are they supported? Do they connect to your thesis? For your evidence and research, is it clear? Did you cite them? Have you explained each piece and its connection to your argument or thesis? For your purpose, has your writing accomplished what it set out to do? Did it answer the question or respond to the prompt effectively? For your presentation, does your organization make sense? Are your transitions between ideas and or paragraphs smooth? Is your tone consistent? For your prose, do you like all of the sections of your essay? Could you spruce up some of the more boring sections with interesting language? Could you vary your vocabulary? Does your voice come across in your writing? Can you hear yourself when you read it? A lot of people feel like in academic writing, you don't want to hear yourself, but that is not necessarily true. As long as it is still coming across with the proper academic feel, still hearing yourself as you write it is not a bad thing. So we're going to make notes on our existing draft about changes that we're going to make. Okay, these are point form things. You're going to go through. This piece of evidence doesn't do what I need it to do. I need to find something else. This paragraph here does not connect effectively back to my thesis. I need to fix that. I don't like the way that I've written this metaphor here. Maybe just scrap it. I don't appreciate my word choice here. I need to find a better word. All of these things are examples of notes that you would make to yourself in this stage of changes that we need to make to revise our rough draft. Okay. And after we've made all of these notes to ourselves, now we are going to write our final draft. We're going to take everything that we noticed in step 9 and we're going to rework the rough draft into a final draft. Sometimes it's going to take less time to reconstruct your essay from scratch rather than working within your rough draft. Okay. If you find you've got a lot of notes on your rough draft, you're probably better off to have that document open, but also be looking at a new one to write your final draft in. Okay, sometimes it can take longer to rework a final or a rough draft than it is to just start over again on a new final draft using the things you learned from writing your rough draft. It is really common for your final draft to appear nothing like your rough draft, so don't worry about that if that describes your writing. And our last step here is to proofread, proofread, proofread. This is the step where you look at your sentence structure, grammar, spelling, and punctuation. You can use a digital proofreader here, but don't be afraid to ask some humans you know to proofread your work as well. They may catch some things that you and the computer will miss. Last, remember that you don't have to change everything that a proofreader mentions to you. If your gut is to leave it the way it is, assuming it isn't something that is right or wrong, like spelling or grammar, then do so. Leave it. It is your essay. It can sound how you want it to sound. If you are feeling discouraged while you are writing your essay, take a look at some of these quotes from authors about writing. This is Writer's Digest list of 72 of the best quotes about writing. These are famous authors talking about the process of writing, and you'll see that even people who have written some of the most well-known texts of today talk about how difficult the process of writing is. So don't be too discouraged if you're struggling with it. It's a hard process. Okay? And even authors who have written some of the most critically acclaimed pieces of writing in existence recognize how difficult it is. So take a look at some of those quotes. That is all for this video. And I will see you in the next one. See ya.